Okay, it's almost show time. Thank you, everybody. Welcome to another exciting edition of Meet the Mentor. My name is Bojani Sahoa. I'm a chartered accountant by profession, the co-founder of Levels app, and today I am your Meet the Mentor host. We have an extremely exciting guest with us here today. He's the mentor for the Entrepreneurship edition. His name is Theo Baloyi, and I mean, his resume reads like something that you've never seen and heard before, but he is homegrown talent, someone that you can resonate with, someone that you can identify with, and someone who's just built an incredible company that, you know, is like no other and is a truly proudly South African story. So we know the founder of Reebok is Joseph and Jeff Foster, the founder of Nike, Phil Knight, the founder of Adidas, Adolf Dassler, the founder of Yeezy, Kanye West, the founder of Puma, Radolf Dassler, the founder of Converse, Marquis Converse. And today we have the founder of Batu Shoes. Welcome, Theo.
Thank you for having me. I'm humbled by this invitation. Really means a lot. I really appreciate the invite.
Yeah. How are things going? We see you on your social media. You're extremely busy all over South Africa, opening new stores, creating new stories, and really walking your journey.
Yeah, it's been very hectic. So today I'm in Pretoria because we're launching our Castle Light collaboration. It's been something that we've been working on for some time. And then yeah, today we're at the Pretoria store launching that. We've got a few more store openings for the rest of the year. But that couldn't have been possible without the support of our people. You know, people have been really supporting us from day one, mainly because I think we just beyond a sneaker brand. You know, we are a shoe brand that Africans can proudly affiliate with the vision to build, you know, Africa's premium sneaker brand.
Absolutely. So just a bit of an introduction about Theo Baloyi. He is the founder of Batu Shoes, a proudly South African sneaker brand that resonates with many. Having lived most of his life in Alexandra with his uncle, Theo had a constant desire to realize his vision of creating a truly authentic South African brand. Theo, a qualified accountant who worked at the PwC South Africa as well as in the Middle East before becoming a full-time entrepreneur and founder of Batu Shoes in 2015, reignites hope to many families and individuals by playing his part as an entrepreneur and reducing the increasing unemployment rate. With the business trading for the past 5 years, Theo has a current staff base of 90 plus, with plans to employ more than 100 people by the end of the year. Currently, 80% of employees are from Alexandra, which in turn plows back into the community where he grew up with. Theo's vision is to create a proudly South African sneaker brand, which all who reside in Africa and abroad can resonate with. The Batu brand has been growing by leaps and bounds, and since its launch in 2015, Theo, I mean, you know, really, every young South African who is a hustler, who wants to make it, who has a vision, who has a dream, looks at your story. And I mean, I remember Batu in the early days when in 2015, 2016, and everyone was talking about this Batu shoe, and you know, no one knew, I suppose, other than you and perhaps the Almighty, that this is where this was going.
100%. Yeah. And like I said, you know, it's always been rooted. The vision has always been rooted in the people, because, like you've mentioned, you know, I've been quite fortunate to have, you know, went to varsity and graduated, and also, you know, worked for a great firm, not only in South Africa but abroad. But my reality was that oftentimes when I came back from Dubai, you know, for vacation or whatever, I'm in South Africa and I drive in Alexandra, you know, I would see that most of our, you know, brothers and sisters, you know, are struggling, you know, and oftentimes when I have like these chats with them kokas, you know, I would realize that, you know what, you know, it's not that people are lazy or anything, but sometimes we've got a tendency of thinking that, or forgetting that some of us have gotten great opportunities that, you know, a general South African haven't received, you know, like in a sense that, I mean, for instance, with me, my dad, you know, I sold his car, you know, for me to go into varsity, because that's how good my accounting grades were. But not everyone has got a dad who can sell their car, you know, and not everyone can get 100% salary bursary to further their studies, you know, and not everyone wants to go into a professional career or anything of that sort, you know. So I was like, you know what, let me come back home and connect with the people. Started a shoe business because we started from humble beginnings in the room in Alexandra. So start from the core in the townships when with a vision to, number one, reignite hope and create sustainable jobs. Because if people can see me packing a box and putting it in the boot of my car, and from that step, building a well corporatized business and building a value chain, they can see that, directly or indirectly, we can, number one, reignite hope, and then directly in some way, we can create sustainable jobs. And that's where it all started.
Yeah. I want to take it right to the beginning. Where you grew up, how you grew up, the role that your family played in your success today. A young guy from Mpumalanga originally, but you really cut your teeth in Alexandra. Tell us about the early beginnings. I mean, you sound like a family that understands the meaning and value of sacrifice. So not many parents would also sacrifice a car to take their child to school. So tell us about the early beginnings and where it all started and where the entrepreneurship bug bit.
100%. I'm glad you asked that question because I think it ties very well with our business story as well. So I was born into a family of 4. Lived with my mom and dad. My dad is late, passed on in 2014. But I spent the first 10 years of my life in a community or in a township called Soshanguve. So that's why I spent the first 10 years of my life, when I attended primary school. Then we later relocated to a village called Pake. It's about 56 kilometers plus outside Hammanskraal. So Hammanskraal was like our town, but Pake is more in a rural area. And I think that's where I spent, that's where I matriculated. I went for my middle school. I went for my high school. My mom, come from a very ordinary family. I wouldn't say we were poor or anything. We had, the necessary means to make a living. We had a plate of food every evening, like any other, ordinary South African family. So my mom was a store manager at Louis Furniture Store. And that's where she worked. My dad was a male nurse at Jubilee Hospital. It's a hospital in Hammanskraal for about 15 years. And she quit his job, to go into entrepreneurship. So he went into real estate. He was an estate agent, which is a very it's a very risky business to get into, because, if you don't sell a house, then you don't earn a commission, and then you don't have a basic salary, right? So he went into that and he started selling properties. Quite ironic or quite unfortunate, in 2008 when we had the economic crunch, globally, which was sort of an economic pandemic, if you put it like that, and people lost their jobs, people are not buying properties anymore and so forth. So my dad, and that was the year when I was in matric. So my dad that year didn't sell even, I think, a single house. So he didn't have any income for the year. And then I matriculated my Mabote Senior Secondary in Pake Village. So my grade was so good, and to a point that I think what influenced, me studying accounting was the fact that I don't like comfort zone, number one. I love living on edge, and I think that's my character. I don't like, living in comfort or safety. So in my school at the time, can you imagine, it's just a rural school, no one has studied accounting. So the common careers at the time were like being a policeman, a nurse. If you make it, then you're a doctor or you're an engineer. Right. And that's as far as it went, right? And I enjoyed accounting. It's quite ironic, but it's like the principles behind accounting, and then I think, how do I put it? The whole thing, the whole psychology around, the connotation around accounting being, difficult, it's a technical subject. Yeah. It's not easy to pursue. That fascinated me because it was a challenge. And I did well. All the time I applied myself more. I studied on weekends and so forth. I tended to get good results. So my dad obviously was in real estate. He worked with, people who were sort of familiar, our white counterparts with the accounting fraternity, if I put it like that, So all the time when you showed them my results, and they were like, geez, man, your son is so good. Your son is so good. Then he would come back home and tell me that, I met with so-and-so who's a lawyer, the attorneys, the conveyancer, as they were doing property, and I showed them your grades. And they were like, yo, you're so good and you can make a living out of this profession.
Right, yeah.
Yet when I went to high school, my own teacher, accounting teacher, told me that accounting is difficult, and it's the accounting in varsity is not the same accounting in high school. So I might be doing well, but in varsity it's completely difficult. Then long story short, I did well, matriculated in 2008. Went into, obviously wanted to go to pursue my studies or further my studies in accounting. Then my dad sold his car because that's how much he believed in, me, qualifying and being an accountant, because, at the time it was tough. 2008 was really a tough year, the economic crunch. And I think even his, attorney friends, they told him that, the way your son is doing so well, you really need to do something. You can't just let him sit at home and say, I don't have money, by all necessary means. If it means, make a plan, they say a man makes a plan. So I think, he decided to sell his car, to say, look, I'd rather be carless, but knowing that I'm securing a future. Then obviously, how it works obviously in varsity is that, you have a tuition fee for the year that includes probably, registration or excludes registration and so forth. So with the car, the proceeds from the sale, it was not that much. So I could not go and stay in varsity and rest. So they were like, okay, cool. How about we go and live with your uncle in Alexandra? This was in 2009. And I took all the proceeds, literally paid a deposit. So it works in varsity, you would either maybe pay your registration fee and deposit and have a payment plan, either in installments, monthly or 6 months, or if you're fortunate enough, some people pay it for the whole year. Yeah. Okay. So with that money, it was only enough for 6 months for the first semester. So when I got to varsity,
okay, let's just take a breather there, because I'd really just like to go into, the detail of your matric year and that transition from matric to university, because it's actually a very interesting story that you tell. So you mentioned that your accounting teacher was discouraging, even though you were scoring incredible marks for accountancy, and that you had personal crises, but you still did extremely well in matric. So you had personal crises, you had a discouraging teacher, you should have been a chartered accountant, you didn't have chartered accountants, management accountants, professional accountants around you to guide you, to give you career guidance, to say, this is the career path to go with, this is a very talented young man, he should be an accountant. How did you navigate that space?
I think, to be honest with you, I think it's more to do with character, So in my life, I think I've been blessed. Like, my biggest strength is my self-esteem. And I often say that, it's very hard naturally or generally to bring me down. I just have that, strong self-esteem, So what happened was that, like I said earlier on, I always had the edge to do something with my life. I've always been that guy who's been a dreamer, and I didn't want to, succumb to the, how do I put it? The circumstances, right? So that edge to do better in my life, in a sense that, I believe that I can literally do it. Quite ironic, because when I was doing grade 11, and my mom will tell you this. So back at home, on Saturdays, my mom used to, do laundry for us, and then back in the days before the washing machines. So we'd have one still bath, where you wash your laundry, and then the other one to rinse, right? So every day after Saturday school, I would come back home and tell my mom this. I don't know where I got it from, but I think it's just that inner thing, the inner voice telling me. And I was just, I think 17, in grade 11. And I used to tell my mom that, you know what, mom, all the time when I came back from Saturday school, I was like, Ma, I will graduate, I will get a good job, and I will work overseas. And at the time, I didn't even know anything about accounting, films, or anything. But I just had a voice that was telling me that. And every Saturday without fail, to a point that my mom would go like, "Hi, Theo, hey, get it, how to you one story all the time. We'll see when it happens. Wait, king, how moms are." Because I was so irritating, I was so consistent. Every Saturday, persistent. And you know what's so funny, John, is that I didn't even know what SICA is. I didn't even know what SEMA is. I didn't even know what PwC or KPMG is. But I had a voice that told me, I will graduate, I will work for a great company, and I will work overseas, especially overseas one. I will say I'll work overseas. I didn't even know Dubai. I didn't even know Middle East. The overseas that I knew was America. Yeah, that's the overseas that I knew. I didn't even know there was a city called Dubai. Yeah, So, but I had a voice that told me that. So I'm trying to tie that to, in a way, it came from. I was so connected to my core, and it happened exactly the way I said it. When I was 17, I didn't even know SICA, like I said. I didn't even know what SICA is. I didn't even know what it takes to be a CA or to be in accounting, to be a management accountant. Yeah. So I just had that inner voice. So I want to tie to the transition part. Yeah. So here's this young boy, gets to varsity. I understood my circumstances. So when you get to varsity, it's a different living. You've got
Absolutely.
people that have cars at 18. You've got people that have all the textbooks, like they're not short, like textbooks for the semester, where you have to go.
Tell us where you went to varsity.
So I went to FLB, UNISA via FLB. I don't know if you know FLB. There's a college.
I went to FLB.
So I went to FLB. Oh, you went to FLB? Yeah,
I did, yes.
So I went to FLB.
Charles Forbes.
Nice. So yeah, I was at FLB. Charles Forbes, 100%. Those were my guys, you know. Those were my lecturers at the time. So I got to varsity, and in varsity, you know, you've got, like, you know, there's levels. There's the levels things that's there, you know. And then you've got people that are driving cars at 18, people who've got all the textbooks. You know, you've got, while you have to hustle for a textbook. You need to spend time at the library to get that auditing textbook, right? And then you've got people that are eating McDonald's, you know, and Nando's lunch, when you don't even have money for lunch in varsity. You've got people that are wearing the most expensive clothing or the nicest clothing, when you know, they only buy you clothes, you know, every 4 months, whatever the case might be. So I really looked into who am I and my background and where I come from. So I was like, clearly this I can't afford to leave. So let me not cheat myself and try to leave this. To a point that I had a girlfriend in the trip. I broke up with my girlfriend. And the reason for that was that I didn't want any, you know, risk management. I didn't want any risk that will jeopardize my opportunity of studying. You know, so in a relationship, there's stress.
No, Theo, they say you mustn't, you know, in auditing, and this is for all my auditing students, they say, don't avoid risk, manage it. Don't break up with the girl, manage the risk, sensitize her.
100%. But you know what? Sometimes the cost of managing a risk is too much. So the best way is to avoid it, right? It's too much of an exercise to manage it. And I don't have the resources to manage it. You know, let's go for a date, you know, I don't have the resources to go take out for a date. You know what I mean? So I didn't want that because I understood that I only have 6 months. 6 months to prove myself. That is the first semester. Because if I don't do well in the 6 months, my father can't pay for my second semester. And that means my father's car is gone. So I didn't want any risk. Like, I went there with a mission to say, I get there, I study, I get a bursary, I move on to the next one. That was you know, when you do a plan for the year, my plan in my first year was that, okay, 6 months, I'm in. For me, it's about maximizing opportunity. I looked at that as an opportunity. I'm like, I'm going in 6 months. I only have 6 months, and I kill it, and I'm moving to the next one. Like, if I can't afford to go to May and June without a bursary. So I chased it, and then I got a bursary by Tomorrow Trust, you know, to a point that in my second year, they funded me. So they have 100% bursary, you know, tuition and books. My dad was very happy because now they didn't have to stress about anything. And in my second year, I got accounting student of the year, right?
Stunning.
And when I was 19, in that bursary. So in the second year, when I got the accounting student of the year, actually, I don't even know where's my what. I really need to look for it, you know. And I got that, and I called my parents.
Yeah.
And I don't know where I got this from, right? And I think it's that living in the edge that I enjoy, and, you know, not being out of the comfort zone and always trying to do my best and like really push for my dreams. I called my parents and I told them that, Mom, Dad, please don't support me anymore.
Sure.
Don't send me money. Don't buy me clothes. And then I started selling perfumes to Alex, door to door.
Let's take a pause right there. I'd just like to take this moment just to say, you know, there's some very important lessons to be learned here. You know, firstly, standing on one's own 2 feet, right? Secondly, managing risk, you know, because that's a part of life, that's a part of entrepreneurship, and the importance of career guidance and self-belief, right? And that is the essence 100%. Of what we believe in at Levels App. And also, I just like to take this opportunity. So we have a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs in our community of Levels App, Theo. So I just like to take this moment to acknowledge some of the aspiring entrepreneurs that are here with us today, that are on this Zoom call. Everyone on Facebook, please tag yourselves and tell us what it is that you aspire to do and aspire to be. Tell us about your business so that we can, bring up questions and take them forward to Theo. So we have Witumelo Mokwena, right? So she's an aspiring agri-entrepreneur, and she's an agri-economics graduate. We have Tsietsu Ngubese. He's actually an actuarial science graduate, honors, and he sells, he's got a food retail business in the township. He goes door to door, doing exceptionally well. So we have a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs here today with us who are here specifically to find out how you did it. So career guidance, everyone, please visit www.levelsapp. Check the site, search for the right qualifications, search for the right degrees. Had Theo not been very good at accounting specifically, had parents who had believed in him, you know what I mean? Perhaps then he wouldn't have gone the accountancy route. At this stage, we'll actually just put up some degrees for some links to institutions that actually offer entrepreneurship and accountancy degrees. So Maria, who's our research lead at Levels App and the Level Up Foundation, will put up some links to degrees on this chat and on Facebook as well. Just have a look at the chat and you'll see all the different degrees. So Theo, so now you have decided that you want to sell perfumes door to door, which is, it's such a beautiful business. You're on the ground, you see exactly what's happening. You understand sales, you understand cash flow, you understand marketing, now you're balancing studying and working. Tell us about those first sales. Tell us about the balance between work and study.
Before I get into the details, maybe someone might want to know why I decided to do that, right? So basically, I was when you're in university, you've got I think a structure, if I put it like that, as to what time is your economics class, what time is your auditing class. Sometimes you get some off days, so you don't go to class on Thursday, you've got no class on Saturdays or whatever, right? So I was the type of person who would, even with the days when I didn't have a class, I would go to library and study. But then I realized that after studying, because you can only put so much of hours into studies, right? Into your studies. Oftentimes I've got a lot of idle time after studying, because your brain gets tired and so forth from books.
True.
So what do I do with my idle time? So I realized living in Alexandra that, I don't know if you've been to Alex, but the consumption in our townships. Yeah.
We actually have students from Alex here. We've got kids from Leave 3. We've got kids from Alex High. Hello, everyone on Facebook Live. Leave 3, we see you. Alex High, we see you. Her Forum, we see you. They're here. They're here for you. They support you.
Awesome.
They believe in you.
Yeah. So hi guys. Thanks for joining. So I realized that actually a lot of people in our township like looking good, but not everyone, can afford an expensive perfume. 1,000 rand worth of perfume cologne. So I was like, wait a minute. The thing about perfume is that, even if it's 2,000, if it's 3,000, you cannot carry the brand and their brand with, you just need to smell good. Rather, I go and get all-based perfume, a manufacturer supplier, where people can buy the smell, right? It's all-based, right? It lasts long and it smells good. And the lesser price, and people can afford. And that's how we started selling, like we said, and that's where the entrepreneurial bug beat me. Because then, I'd learned a lot about business. We used to do credit sales, and no in business at that time. I joke around and say, I still have people that still owe me from my perfume days, even now. Sure. If I go to LX9 and collect my money, I can get a good, 3K or so, from the people that still owe me money from my perfume days. And I learned a lot about, because they were non-branded, now I need to sell a non-branded cologne and then make you believe that it's as good, you know what I mean? And do my cash flow and do my marketing and do my inventory management and so forth. So I learned a lot about business at the time. So long story short, the second year I did that, and then I became top accounting student of the year. And then PwC came through to Tomorrow Trust, and they were like, hey man, you know what? We want to sponsor a kit, just one kit that you've got, And then obvious, and PwC needed to send someone who they can believe in. And that year I was the top accounting student of the year. So it only made sense for Tomorrow Trust to send me because, I needed to go and represent them. And I think after that, Tomorrow Trust started sending a lot of kids, to PwC because of they liked what PwC gave them in Theo, because Theo at PwC, they paid for my tuition, they paid for my postgrad, and I went to go work and went the SEMA route. But when I got there, I represented so much of, I think good characteristics, and then that was what they looked at me, they looked at Tomorrow Trust, to a point that whenever they wanted to spawn a kid, they will always go to Tomorrow Trust because of what they've gotten in Theo, you know what I mean? And then that was another way of maximizing opportunity. So taking it back a bit, so when PwC funded my studies through Tomorrow Trust, they said I should come and work them for 1 year. So they say, okay, cool. The contract said, we'll pay for your studies, your postgrad as well. And then all you need to do is to come and work for us for a year. It was a 1 year fixed term contract, without even benefits or anything. And then I got there, I realized that I'm not the same with the other permanent employees. And meaning that I still needed to work hard. Yes, I was in PwC. Yes, I was one of the employees, if you put it like that, right? I was with these great guys and I worked with a great team, qualified CAs and so forth, which was also an inspiration for me. I did so well, that the following year, they were like, no, Theo, your contract is done. No, we're taking you permanent. We can't use you, and that was another way of maximizing opportunity. So taking it back, I've always been that guy who looked at everything as an opportunity, irrespective of how big or how small it is. My dad selling his car for me to get in varsity, that was an opportunity. When I'm in varsity, that means I've got an opportunity to study so that I can get a bursary. When I get a Tomorrow Trust bursary, that's an opportunity to get my undergrad and my postgrad. I did exactly that. When I did that, I did VEP work at PwC. They liked me. They gave me a 1 year fixed term contract. And then it's only 1 year, but that's an opportunity.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it's really about opportunity. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
It's really about opportunity, maximizing on opportunity.
That's something that I really.
And then making sure that you don't ruin the opportunity for other people who are coming behind you. Making sure that, you set a good example, you set 100%. The right tone, you make sure that everyone who comes after you, will follow suit and do the right thing and actually just maximize on the opportunity. I like that very much. I like that. So, guys who are here today,
100%.
That's really what it's about. Oh, there's a speech delay. Okay. I'd just like to take this moment just to air a short video that explains how the Levels app works from a career guidance perspective for everyone who's here today, so that they can get an understanding and a feel for the software. And so that also Theo as well, so that he can also get a feel for our work here. If you can just give me a second. Oh, gosh. Okay, it looks like the link is broken. Let me just fix it in the background. But let's just take the conversation forward, Theo. So now you're balancing the working and studying. You're selling perfumes, they're doing well in the township. And now, at some point you're going to have to graduate. Did you stop your perfume business? Did you continue with your perfume business? Take us through the timeline of you starting your perfume business, you graduating, and the VAC work and the work opportunities at PwC.
Yeah, so unfortunately, when I got to not really unfortunately, but when I started working, because now there's travel time, you do work on different projects in the country, you don't have much time to continue your business, so I think that out because now I was so much invested in my job and trying to, build this professional career, build this accounting career for myself, So I let go. I think I put the perfume business on hold a bit and unfortunately died out a bit, during. However, with the perfume business dying out, it gave birth, to accounting career, if you put it like that, in a sense that because of now I didn't have a side hustle, I had the chance to really give it my all in my work and really because in PwC I think I really maximized and leveraged of I was the type of guy. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. The quality is not great, but we can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello? Yes, we can hear you.
Okay,
we can
cool.
hear you.
Sorry, I don't know. Yeah, okay, cool. 100%. I think my internet was a bit down there. Sorry.
Not a problem.
So, okay, so basically, and then it gave birth to a lot of things because of now I could be committed to my job. I was traveling the country. You know how it works in accounting. You know, you've got deadlines, sometimes you work on weekends and so forth, you know. So then I grabbed the soft skills and the technical skills because I kid you not, you know, I was dead employee, you know, even my managers know that before I leave the office, soft skills like, hey, Rian, you know, I'm about to leave work, you know, is there anything else that I can do for you? You know, when you're in a boardroom and you've got team, even if it's a client's team or whatever, I'm going for coffee, just the simple stuff. Hi guys, I'm going for coffee. You know, anyone who wants coffee, do you guys need anything? You know, to a point that, and I remember one day, and then I was always available to do the work on weekends. If my boss calls me, I'm chilling with my friends and says, "Can you do this for me?" or "Can you come to the office?" I'm always available to put in the work. You know, I remember one day I was traveling from Alex going home, and my partner Nils called me on a Saturday and asked me to do something for him if I'm available to come to the office to work on this project. And I just passed Pretoria with groceries for my parents and stuff, right? And then I was like, yeah, I'm available. I'm doing nothing, and I made a 10 with my groceries bag, my parents' groceries back to the office in Sunny Hill because I always had my laptop with me and we started working. And I had to tell my parents that I can't come back, I can't come home anymore because of these work commitments, you know. And our parents, they are old school, so they don't understand the flexibility around work and so forth. So I had to do that. But what happened was that, you know, because of my ratings on my projects, you know, at PwC, I was always a 1 or 2 rater, you know, at the time because of that effort. I've never gotten anything below a 3. For those who doesn't understand, in corporate, you work on a project, on assignments, and there's a moderation that they rate you. So a 4 will be a poor performance, a 3 will be average, a 2 will be, you know, as expected, you know, and then maybe a 1 will be, you know, beyond expectations. So I've always been a 1 or a 2 rater, you know, to a point that, you know, I worked on this project, Premier Foods project, where we did, you know, asset management as well. And then we were doing it around, you know, Premier Foods owns Blue Ribbon and all of those type of bakeries and brands. And then we had to travel the country. So I did well in that project to a point that, and we worked crazy hours, like 12-hour, 15-hour shifts in that project, you know, without even claiming overtime, you know. And then the following year, there was an opportunity to go and do asset management in Dubai. And then it was a great opportunity, but the project on budget didn't have big budget. So they only wanted one partner, they only wanted one manager and one senior associate. And then obviously, you know, there's only one guy that you can really, you know, trust to do the job and deliver, right? And PwC is at 3,000 at the time. There were 3,000 employees. You know, my division alone was about, you know, 220 or so. You know, that's how big the team, asset management team was. And then, yeah, you know, they chose me out of everyone. You know, I mean, the senior associates were plus 100, and they chose me to be part of that project. And it was a fixed term project. I think it was an 8-month project where we went to Dubai and did asset management, and we went to Saudi Arabia, to Oman, to Doha, to Bahrain. You know, that's nice. Traveling, you get subsistence allowance. But what I then did, going back to maximizing opportunities, I went and did so well. You know, I really gave it my all and saved the allowances. So you get paid in dollars, the allowances and so forth as you travel. I didn't use my allowances, you know, because if you get there, you know, there's breakfast that is paid for you, there's lunch that is paid for you, there's dinner that is paid for you, the air tickets and accommodation is paid for you, your flights are paid for. So you get to earn your salary and get allowance, but then, you know, and I saved that portion of mine. And I saved it for a good 3 or so years, you know, keep on saving it. That we did so well in that project that PwC Middle East, the EMEA market, you know, wanted to build an asset management team because they didn't have. Because South African people don't know, but South African CAs are so good. I think we are in the top 5 in the world. So
top three.
Yeah, something. Yeah, we are top 3 in the world. So South African, South African CAs are highly regarded in the world. So because we were so good in that project, they wanted us to come and build an asset management competency in PwC, Middle East or the EMEA market. And then my partner chose me. He said, Theo, do you want to go and live in Dubai? Let's relocate. And then I resigned in PwC South Africa and I joined PwC Middle East.
Amazing.
And I kept on saving. But I think sort of giving it a sense of what happened there in that transition was that I would go in Dubai, Bujani. I would live in a nice apartment. I would travel the Middle East, possibly even travel the world, because we're in the Middle East. You can go anywhere in vacation and stuff like that. Yeah. But all the time when I came back home, to go to South Africa for 2 weeks, maybe to just check my parents and to check. I would drive in Alex. And then I'm that guy in shades on, my sunroof is open, as I drive in, I'm that guy who gives a spew a turnaround, I give El Rato a turnaround, I give Tabo 50 rand. But then, but then I leave and go to Dubai. Then those people are still in the same. Then those people are still in the same position.
It's a problem.
And when I started talking to them, I started realizing that, you know what? When I started hearing people's stories, as to where are you, what are you doing, I started realizing that it's not that people are lazy. People don't understand. Not everyone has gotten the opportunity that you've gotten. Not everyone. And it depends how you look at opportunity. But because I'm a firm believer in opportunity, and that's the story of my life, irrespective of how small or big it is. I'm a firm believer of opportunity. I was like, Theo, let me come back home. Right. Lose everything. Lose my apartment in Dubai. Lose my suit and ties and cufflinks in Dubai. Lose the Middle East life. I could have easily lived the Instagram life. I left it all. I went back home. Started used my savings, all the savings that I've had, to start a shoe brand that Africans can proudly affiliate with, reignite hope, and create sustainable jobs. So that's where it all starts.
Yeah. So I just like to take a pause there and just take a step back to, the passion for the shoe brand and, the inspiration behind the shoe brand. So we have a question here from Dumisani Dlamini just about that. So Dumisani, can you please ask your question? Go ahead and ask your question to Theo. Dumisani.
Hi guys, sorry, I was trying to unmute myself.
Not a problem. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
I just saw the invite on your LinkedIn, and I've always wanted to chat to Theo. Why shoes?
How's it, Dumisani?
I'm good, my man. How are you?
I'm good, my brother. Thank you. Very good question. So, I've said the perfume story before, right? So I've always been bitten by the entrepreneurial bug. And when you incorporate, especially asset management, you deal with international financial reporting standards, and you sort of have, how do I put it? You sort of know what to do in the next project because you're doing one thing over and over again, right? Whether it's a telecoms client, whether it's a client from mining, it's always the same standards around asset management. And because I've always been the guy that likes hustling and being on the streets with perfume dates, I missed that hustling I think phase in my life where I wanted to do something, beyond accounting. So to answer your question specifically, why shoes? So when I was in Dubai, I'm a sneakerhead, not really, a self-proclaimed sneakerhead, if I put it like that. I used to buy a lot of sneakers, like your limited edition Jordans, your Adidas Stan Smith. I remember when Stan Smith was introduced, I was one of the first people that I know to have that collection. End of 2015, I had such a valuable collection of sneakers that sometimes when I'm back home in LX, my friends will ask me, where did you get that pair of Jordans? It's not in Rosebank, it's not in Sunset. I've never seen it before, I only saw so-and-so American celebrity wearing it. Where did you get it from? And I realized that there's a need for sneakers. But to answer your question, the most thing that made me start a sneaker business was that, there's a saying that says, if you buy too much of it, then why not own it? So I used to spend so much money on sneakers. And I'm like, I might as well start a sneaker brand. And I did about 18 months of research and development, proof of concept, registering the business, and all of those things, the behind the scenes work. And one of the findings from my research was that we've got about 7 continents in the world. You look at South America, they've got about 2 international footwear brands, Ipanema and Havanians. You look at, the States, they've got a Nike, Phil Knight, they've got, Converse started by the Converse family or Chuck Taylor. You've got a lot of European shoe brands. You've got a lot of Italian shoe brands, some of them that embraces ours, your Cavellas, but you come to Africa, you don't have even one single footwear brand. You've got a lot of footwear brands, but hear me right, you don't have a footwear brand in this continent that can be benchmarked with all of those international footwear brands that I've mentioned, that I had in my collection. Benchmarked in terms of product quality, in terms of turnover, you can even take it further to CSI, right? Yet there's billions and billions of US dollars that leave this continent going abroad. But we Africans embrace sneakers as our own. So I was like, I want to start a shoe brand. Since I buy so much of sneakers, a shoe brand that can reignite hope and create sustainable jobs. And a shoe brand with so much of a brand promise that people will go and buy it, not because of it started by Theo or it's from Alex or it's from Africa, but because of the brand values and the brand promise that it stands for. We buy Nike not because of Phil Knight sold it to us, but Nike's brand promise is victory. When you're wearing Nike, going to the gym, you're wearing it, you feel like you're a victor, and that's their brand promise. Our brand promise, it's to build that shoe brand that Africans can proudly affiliate with and be, hence we say, walk your journey. It's a shoe brand that is for everyone who's on a journey, of becoming the best version of yourself, a journey of transformation, a journey of impact, a journey of, creating sustainabilities and making a difference. Whatever journey that you're on, that trajectory, that's our brand. We want to walk with you in that journey, hence the walk your journey. But I can talk forever to Musani, but I started a shoe brand because I used to buy a lot of sneakers. And there's a saying that says, if you spend too much money on it, then why not own it? And that's why a shoe brand. I was just fortunate that when in my research, when I was doing it, I actually found out more reasons as to why I need to start a sneaker brand. But yeah.
Buddy, so, I love your passion and keeps continue inspiring us on the sideline. Cheers.
Thank you, my brother. Thanks.
Thank you, Dumisani. Thank you very much. So to all the people who are on Facebook Live, please put up your questions. We're going on Facebook. We're going to check your questions and we'll ask Theo on this platform specifically. But thank you very much. Remember to follow Levels App on Facebook, levelsapp.sa on Instagram, and to be a part of the Levels App community. Develop yourself and ask Theo, everything that you want to know about entrepreneurship. He's taken an hour out of his exceptionally busy schedule to come here and have a conversation with us. So let's honor the appointment. So Theo, I'd just like to take a step back to you actually finalizing your studies, right? And graduating. A lot of the students here, a lot of the people here are students. They're in matric, they're in university. It's an extremely difficult year. No one thought that the coronavirus pandemic would take the shape that it did. The psychological impact of trying to study and achieve your goal. The people in third year, who are here today, and it's tough. It's a tough year, Tell us a little bit about, how you were able to just push through the pain, graduate, and that special graduation moment.
I think for me, I didn't even go for, to be honest with you, I didn't even go for my graduation. And I think that's, I know people bash me for it, but I didn't celebrate. I don't even have I have a graduation picture, but I didn't do anything big. I just went, got my degree, took a few pictures in that sense, but I never did any form of celebration. I never even posted on social media with my graduation gown. You know what I mean? Those pictures. It's just a frame that is somewhere in my house, and that's about it, right? But mainly because, I was just so, on to the next thing. You know what I'm saying? To say we're done with postgrad, I need to do my, we're done with undergrad, I need to do my postgrad. I'm done with my postgrad, I need to go to PwC. I mean, PwC, I need to get, I've always been driven by that. But to answer your question, I think it's more about, being authentic to your core. Understanding, it starts by being true to yourself. I think most importantly, about who are you? Who are you as a person? And I think, even in tough times, even in days when you feel like things are not going your way, even in days when you feel like, it's so difficult. I mean, I don't know how many times I've actually, got stressed by text. I never enjoyed text, a lot. I never really enjoyed text in my studies and auditing. And that's why maybe I never went the CA route, But in the midst of that, I sort of understood, why am I doing this? I need to get my degree. I need to pass my auditing. You know, I need to pass my tests. In as much as I didn't enjoy them, but I needed to pass them. You know, so just knowing why you are here and who you are, you know, and why you're doing something. It's exactly that thing that's gonna keep you going. You know, like when I started part 2, and I think even the guys who are in the last years now, you know, just know your why for now, and know your why for your next move. And know your why when you're there. So you should never be at the stage where you feel like you've graduated, you work for Deloitte or PwC, then your why should never die. I think like your why should never die. You know, you should always keep your why alive and burning at all times, because of it's in that why that when the difficult times come, personally, you know, in your profession, you know, in other things, you know, when life happens, your why is going to keep you going. And absolutely. I think just keep your why burning at all times.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a question here from Lungelwa Jacobs, and she says, so for the remainder of this session, I'd like us to focus a bit more on entrepreneurship, building the business, sustaining the business, growing the business, right? Lungelwa Jacobs asks, when is the right time to stay paying yourself a salary, and is there a guideline as to the rate of pay?
There's actually not a, I wouldn't say there's, because we're all in different types of businesses. The nature of businesses are different. There's some people who are in the nature of business that can afford to pay them salaries right from the beginning because the nature of the business has so much profits. There are businesses that can afford to pay themselves only after 2 years, only after 3 years. So I think number one really varies on, you know, the nature of the business. But I think the most important thing I always say is to get your back office right. You know, you need to have a proper structure and manage your cash flow better, you know, because whether you've got money coming in or not, but you really need to understand your cash flow and your projections, and the back end of a business should be so well structured. You know, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and I was like, you know, if I knew better, and for me, if I had to give an entrepreneur whose business has potential to grow advice, I would ask them to, one thing that they should never compromise on, it's two things. It's your human capital, your HR, and your cash flow. Because it's in the days when you start scaling and growing, if your human capital was not right,
sure,
and your accounting was not right, even when the money starts coming in and the business starts growing, you're going to have big problems.
Big time.
Because people are the heart of the business. So you need to make sure that your HR and your cash flow is like done to the T. I know a lot of people go like, but why do you have to spend money on HR? I can just get a lawyer and sign a contract, whatever. But HR is beyond people. It's beyond profit. You know, and then in the days when you scale and grow, you know, for you to have a beautiful scale, you need to take care of your people. And the best way to take care of your people is to get the right HR, you know? So I would advise, I know I'm being off topic a bit, but I would say that the day when, you know, your business can generate revenue and then you can still have a great working capital to reinvest. So you make your sales, whatever, you get your big clients, and then you pay your expenses, and you still have working capital to reinvest, not working capital to pay expenses, but to reinvest. You still have working capital to buy your assets, to put in the right infrastructure. I think that it would be the right time to pay, you know, yourself a salary. And then I think, you know, you can scale it. I think I always advise entrepreneurs to pay them, you know, to pay themselves 20% less than the average or the market related salary, you know, as to what you're doing. So it's always advisable to pay yourself less, 20% less than I think market related, and try to pay your people market related, but pay yourself below market related, because you know the main reason is because you know you need to learn to live with enough, because sometimes entrepreneurs tend to confuse, you know, the business money with their money, and they spend it recklessly. It's not your money. You know, I always tell people that, you know, it will never be your money. It can be your wealth, but it can never be your money. You know what I mean? In the sense that monetary cash. So people confuse that. Yes, money is a resource, but you know, it's you need to reinvest it in the right asset that's going to build the wealth. Absolutely. So you know, so don't confuse the wealth with your money. Like, you know what I mean? It's the business money. It might be your wealth because you're a shareholder, but it's not your money.
No, that's so true. You know, those 2 points, I know that there are people here who have their own businesses, people on Facebook who have their own businesses. We see your questions coming through. We'll try to get to all of them. Thank you so much for the support. Human capital is key. the engine that runs the business. Obviously, yes, it's sales. There are different aspects and elements to a business, but it's the people who push your brand, who are representatives of the brand, who are ambassadors, and who are the energy. They bring their energy into the business. That energy and how it all interacts as one is so key. I mean, that is absolutely everything in this instance. And, you know, like Theo says, cash flow, how to pay yourself, manage your finances, you know, find a healthy balance. The business is a juristic person. It's a separate legal entity. You know, there's a difference between the juristic person and the individual. And one should make, you know, rather develop a dividend policy for how to pay yourself the wealth of the business, rather than actually, you know, drawing money from a juristic person who is not you. You have your own money, you have your salary, and drawing those lines is very important. We have two questions, one from Tsietsi, and then we have another one from Mpo. Tsietsi, go ahead and ask your question.
Mute. Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome. It's lovely to see you.
No, thank you very much for the great opportunity. Ipatu, I mean, Ipatu has been part of us since I was a kid, I know. So they tell me Ipatu, we've been walking everywhere, left, right, and center. So, quick question, no? What's the value of building a philosophical business? I'm an entrepreneur myself, so when I follow your story is during my studies, when I decided to start my own venture called We Solve for X, I think I also went into looking at the philosophical business, like your Apple, your Amazon, those ones, you know. So also my company business philosophy, you know, is to provide an answer to a question ordinary people continue to ask, you know. So we work around that philosophy. So I just want to know, like, what's the most important value about building a philosophical business?
Okay, very good question, Titi. Thank you for that. You know, I always say this, you know, a lot of people, for me personally, you know, excellence is in service. You know, excellence is in service. And service, you need to serve the people. You need to serve a bigger mandate every day, because at the end of the day, it's what makes you sleep, you know, with a clear heart at night. You know, you need to be able to understand why you're doing what you're doing and who are you doing it for. Oftentimes people, you know, I've heard this from Oprah. Oftentimes people, you know, chase fame, they chase to be relevant, but that fades away. She even says that 3 years from now, we won't remember the Real House of Johannesburg, or we won't remember the, you know, the most famous influencer now. But people will never forget your excellence, because it's in how you make people feel and what you do for people. And for me, I always say this: I left a tax-free salary in the Middle East, came back home, you know, to start this business to create sustainable jobs. And I left a salary that provided for my mom and my sister, or my family, one family. And I started a business that provided for 93 other families. And for me, that's what in service is. I've got guys in our business that started very small. Today, they've built tombstones for the late ones. They've built houses for their parents. They've bought their first car. Somehow even buying out their third car. But if I didn't leave my job to come and serve, right, to come and serve, then that philosophy will be gone. I would have been a guy who lived the Instagram life in Dubai. And people go like, oh, you follow Theo. Did you see Theo? He's in London. He's in whatever. He inspires me. But there's no, after, when I pass on, people will forget my post in Italy. People will forget the life that I used to live in Italy, but people will never forget what I've done for them in Alex and what I've created. So that's the bigger part. To go to bed knowing that I left one job, tax-free, that provided for my family. And I started a business that provided for 93, and it keeps on going, more families. And for me, that's what makes me go to bed with a, you know, clear heart, you know, and happiness. And that makes me grateful, because in my business, I serve. And to answer our question, the benefit of starting a philosophical business is because you serve. And when you serve, people will never forget. That's where excellence comes in. Excellence comes from service. Excellence does not come from the number of followers, how relevant you are, how you dress, what car you drive, what you're known to be. But excellence comes from service. what you do for people, for your community. And for me, I think that's the benefit of starting a philosophical business with the right intentions.
Wow.
Not the right intention that people will see me or Theo's creating jobs, but from the bottom of my heart, I've proved it. I started my business with my own money. I left it. I was not fired. When I left PwC Dubai, I was up for promotion. I had a very good relationship with my partners. I didn't leave because I had office politics. I left because what was inside me. My voice told me to leave, to go back home and start a business that can reignite hope and create sustainable jobs.
Stunning.
And for me, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. You know, and I proved it with my own money. We don't have loan in our business. No one finances us. Public and private equity. Everything else that I do, I back it with my own resources. And I back it with my own heart, and I back it with my own core. And at night, I sleep peacefully.
Stunning. Love it. You know what? This is what the Level Up Foundation is about. You know, it's about people who have talents, who have a drive, who have a will to succeed, and who own that will to succeed and own that drive and own their gifts and own their talents and say, this is what I am going to do. And in that doing, they do it as service. You know, they do it to give back, to do the best that they can do. And when your work is so meaningful, is so impactful, is so powerful, and you do it from a place of service, you know, to give of your talents to the best of your ability, then it becomes something as beautiful as the Batu story. And I think each and every one of us who is here today, the people on Facebook, you know, the people who are sending us emails, these are the people who have invested in themselves. A conversation today where you say, I want to have a conversation with Theo. I want to know how he did it. You are owning your gift. You are owning your talents. And you're saying, you know what? I know who I want to be. I know where I'm going. I know where I want to go. I want to speak to people who've walked that journey. I want to speak to people who've gone that road and find out how they did it. That commitment to sessions like this is part of you walking the line towards, you know, service and you know, and building a phenomenal career that will have a huge impact on the people who you serve. Thank you very much for that, Theo. That was absolutely stunning. Mpho, you have a question as well, and then we'll move on to Duke's question. Mpho, go ahead and ask your question.
Hi everyone. I'm currently moved by the answer that Theo just gave us. It was
So
really motivational. Anyway, I just wanted to ask, what entrepreneurial tricks does Theo have discovered throughout the years that kept him focused, because he already has a really busy schedule? How does he keep focused and productive? What tricks has he discovered?
Thank you, Mpho. I think, you know, it's right from the beginning, you know, the why, you know, I keep my why burning, you know, I've got a philosophy that I live by, you know, always be humble and never arrive, you know, and every milestone, you know, that comes through God's grace in our business, right? I celebrate it before people celebrate it with God, right? And that keeps me, you know, driven. You know, I said this before, you know, our headquarters that we moved into now, people, you know, I started posting about it in February, but I signed that deal in 2019, in December. And I was zoned into being grateful for that. So that by the time I go to social media and I put it up or I talk about it, you know, there's going to be a lot of people complimenting and saying whatever. But to me, I'm done with that, you know, milestone. You know, I've celebrated it. It's not a big deal anymore to me. And I always say this, that I don't have the reason why I don't have a big head, because, you know, I don't spend time in a trophy room. You know, I don't take, you know, any other thing to my head and be big-headed, you know. I avoid the trophy room, and I try to stay connected to the core, because of I still drive to Alex today, and I still see, in as much as we've got about 93 employees that we employ, right? And 80% of them are from Alex. But till today, when I drive into Alex, I still see the same thing. And understand that, you know what, there's more to be done. And that drives me. I don't know if I've answered your question, but there is the very same reason why I started till today. It still drives me and keeps me focused, because I still see the same situations that I saw when I started the business that I was trying to solve. So yes, we've employed some people from Alex, and our business has had an impact on people's lives. But I still see the same thing. And yes, I cannot do it for everyone in Alex, but I can keep on trying to achieve that was in my core. You know what I'm saying? So that keeps me going at all times.
Yeah. I think this would be a good time to actually acknowledge Theo's trophy room. So Theo is a multi-award winning entrepreneur. I mean, he has done exceptionally well over the years. And, I think this is a good time for us just to highlight the good work that he's done, the impact of his work, and the people who've recognized his work. So some of the awards he's won: Young Entrepreneur of the Award, Young Entrepreneur of the Year 2019 by the South African Business Premier Awards, Forbes Africa 30 Under 30 2019, Emerging Business Entrepreneur of the Year 2019 by the Sanlam Business Partners, Fastest Growing Business Brand by National Business Awards, SMME Award 2019, Vision 2030 South Africa 2019, 100 Most Influential Young South African Award, the Hennessy Businessman of the Year 2020, the Premier Service Excellence Awards 2020. The list goes on. I can't read them all. I mean, there just isn't too much time. And I think this is a good time to actually go into the future of Batu. I know Duke has a question that relates to that. Duke, can you go ahead and ask your question?
Yeah, thanks, Bojani. Theo, brother, nice to meet you. I think my question follows up very nicely because you talked about your story, and your story is very inspirational. It's quite fantastic. It's a great journey you've taken us through. But let's look into the future. And I think for what you've mentioned as I've listened, it's always good for people to, like how Mandela said it, when you arrive at the top of the hill, you just realize there's so much more to conquer. Yeah. So it never stops there when you become successful despite your accolades. I know you still got big dreams, you've got a vision. So let me paint a picture. Let's see if you can paint a picture for us. So the year is 2024. It's Tuesday, 6 February. I asked this question because when I did my MBA also in Greece, when you're still a student, you gotta ask students to project and paint a picture into the future so that they can work today to get there. So let's see, describe that day for us, for Theo and your empire.
I love that. Thank you, Duke. So 26, you said it's the 26th of...
No, it's 6 February. It's 6 February. It's Tuesday. The year is 2024. 6
February is Tuesday. The year is 2024. I'm in New York. I'm giving... I'm a guest of honor. Giving a talk on... the future of retail in the world, and we in that day in the afternoon we're launching our New York store. So they really invited me, and then I've got an ordinary accolade, and I'm representing the continent, and then the world is really consuming African products, and they just invited me, to come and tell my story.
Amazing.
So, Bojani, if I may just add on. So thank you. What I really like about how you answered the question is, this question is not a trick question. It tells us what matters to you at that point in time. Yeah. Who are you? Some people will talk about what they hope to have achieved, but you spoke so confidently about who you are at that point in time. So I think we clearly have a good picture, and I wish you the best.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Duke. Thank you very much. Duke has also taken time from his very busy schedule. He's a senior executive at a major ICT international company, and he's very interested in our work at Levels App. And we are always interested and keen to interact with and engage with stakeholders who believe in our youth and believe in the work that they do, and who believe in our mentors and the stories that they tell, the work that they've done, and the lives that they've changed and impacted. Guys, there are just too many questions. We're going to have to ask Theo. Theo, you must come again to speak to us sometime soon so that you can get to all the questions. But we did promise you a prize, and at Levels App, we are the gift that keeps on giving. So, Theo, we know that a huge part of entrepreneurship is constantly developing yourself. Looking out there, seeing who else is doing what, how are they doing it, how are they getting it done, and learning from others through literature, through reading, through books. I believe very strongly in reading, and every Meet the Mentor episode, we always give away a book that our mentor enjoyed the most and that had the biggest impact on their life. So Theo, tell us, which book had the biggest impact on your life and why?
Yo, there's so many books, eh? But I think, Think and Grow Rich by
Nice.
Napoleon Hill.
Nice.
I wish I could choose the second one because it's a very personal, book for me.
Here I am.
It's awesome. That's a very good book. That's
Amazing. Love it.
I try to read that book, at least twice a year. I've got a collection of books that I want to read every year, but that book, I keep on reading it like every year. It's such a great read. So I really, really enjoy that book, and I hope that the winner will really enjoy it too as well.
Okay. All right. So for you to win a signed copy, so Theo's going to sign the copy of the book to the two winners. We have two winners, one on Instagram, one on Facebook. Hashtag walk your journey. That is the slogan for the Batu shoes. So hashtag walk your journey. The first person to write hashtag walk your journey on our Instagram and our Facebook pages wins a signed copy of Theo's absolute favorite book that had the biggest impact on his life. And I can say myself that is an incredible book. I have a copy myself. And once you read it, you'll understand the key to entrepreneurship, why Theo thinks it's such an important book, and why that book is something that should be your daily bread. Theo, parting words for our kids?
Thank you, guys. I think, there's so much to be done. And just make sure that whatever that you do, it's of service to other people. And your passion should lie in service, and just always be authentic to your core. Be authentic to your core and my team knows this, I can get in a room and be working on something and they say, yes, we're going to do it. And if my core and my gut says no, I go like, no, and sometimes I don't even have, a reason why at the time, but the universe has a way of telling, why Theo said no on that, but always be authentic to your core, never compromise what you believe in as much as people can say, no, I don't believe in that or whatever, they can try to overpower you or influence you otherwise. But if your heart, just follow your intuition all the time, because I kid you not, the intuition knows what's best for you.
Stunning.
So always follow that. Your intuition, guys need to understand this, that people need to understand this, that your intuition knows better. It's far more important than reason. There's no any other reason that can be bigger than your intuition. So always follow your intuition and be authentic to your core.
Yeah. And just a last follow-up question. Please, just a message to our matriculants and our university students who make up our Levels Up community. Any words of encouragement to them?
I think, I looked at this and I think, I looked at what happened this year, the pandemic, and I was like, this is such a great thing to ever happen in the world because crisis breeds innovation. In the pandemic, there's a beautiful story for you guys to capture and to run with. I think, I know it's been a very, very tough year for you guys and probably even frustrating and scary, but in there, there's something special that you can hold on to and run with it and tell the world about that run and that pace. I'm wishing you guys the best in your journey and walk your journey.
Stunning. So there you have it, guys. Mr. Theo Baloyi, the founder of Batu Shoes, an award-winning entrepreneur, a young township, leader who has really revolutionized the shoe industry in South Africa, an innovator, someone who's extremely humble, who remembers where he comes from, who continues to plow back, and who believes in himself. Those are the key lessons that we are taking away from today. My name is Bojani Sehua. Thank you for another incredible session of Meet the Mentor. We will definitely have Theo on back soon, hopefully. And remember to tag Walk Your Journey on social media. We are here for you. We're ready for you. Matrix, learners all in university. Keep pushing. We are here for you. And make the best of this year. Thank you once more for a stunning session. Theo, thank you very much. And thank you to everyone who honored the invitation. We'll see you again soon. Bye.